Thanks for joining us. This is our very first YouTube version of the market report that we've been doing and sending to clients for quite some time. I'm going to go into detail on all the sales and data going on in Chino Hills for the month of June 2023. This is being shot the first week of July, and so it's pretty fresh data. But down the road, if you're watching this in the future, you can kind of go back in time and see what things were like, back in July or June of 2023. So as we start doing more of these videos, you'll see a little bit more production value. This is the first video, so I just thought we'd do something kind of simple here to get us started. And let's jump into the numbers. So for right now, I am focused on single family residence. These are detached homes, just your traditional house that you would think has its own yard. It's not in a condo situation, or it's not a townhome, it's not attached in any way. So these are single family residences throughout the city. And for the month of June, there was only 37 sales, which is relatively low. I'll get into the numbers historically speaking in just a second, but it was down 2 sales from the month of May. So percentage-wise, only a small dip. Now, going back even further, if we go to June of last year, 2022, it is off by over 28%. June of last year, we had 52 sales in the month, and that was it was past the initial shock of rates increasing. So there was a lot of inventory coming on the market, but things were starting to slow down in June of last year with the rates going up at the middle of April. So this is kind of the market we're in right now, and for the foreseeable future, with so many people having interest rates in the 3s and 4%, I don't see a big spike in inventory coming up soon. Historically speaking, July is kind of the seasonal peak of inventory. There's still quite a bit of demand, but this low number of sales really points to an inventory situation. So there's a big lack of inventory in the city, even though there is a lot of buyer demand. And going back even further, just historically speaking, if we go back to pre-pandemic June of 2019, there were 68 sales for June of 2019. So historically speaking, we're way off where we used to be, even for pre-pandemic, which was considered kind of a normal market. As far as those 37 sales last month, 24 were over the actual list price, 9 were sold below, and 4 closed at the listing price. So new listings each month is a good indicator of what we can expect in terms of the number of sales for the future months. And if we look at the number of listings that came on the market last month in May, or back in May, it was 51, and we compare that to how many came on the market in June, it was only 43. So we've got a tightening of the market that we're not seeing in final sales just yet. That will reflect in July's numbers and August, but we only had 43 new properties come on the market in June. That was down 15.5% from May. And if we go back even further, we go back to last year in June, we were at 75. So, and that is almost a 43% difference or reduction from June of 2022 to June of 2023. So definitely a tightening of the market. Again, this time last year, interest rates were starting to increase, but they were still in the 5s in June. So you weren't seeing as much of a discrepancy between the current interest rates, which right now are a little bit above 7% for a 30-year fixed. And this time last year, they were about in the 5s. So this reduction in new inventory for June will probably mean an even tighter number of sales for July on the next video, you see. So be ready for that. So for all these videos, I'm going to be using the median sales price. It's a better way of indicating what the actual sales going on are. It's not dependent by the outliers. An extreme, super high luxury property gets sold, or 2 of them, or a few distress sales that kind of mess up the average. So the median, using the median is a better way of throwing out those outliers and getting a real feel for what's going on in the market. So for June, the median sales price was $970,000. Now the typical sale in Chino Hills is about a 4 to 5 bedroom, about 2,800 square feet. So that's kind of what you're seeing in that price range. Versus May, it is up 5.4% from May. The median sales price in May was $940. And if we go back even further to June of last year, it was just about $906 on the median sales price, and we are up 7.1% from that same time last year. For some historical perspective, if we go back all the way to 2019, the median sales price in Chino Hills was about $669,000. So you're looking at $300,000 in appreciation in just 4 years. So that is pretty crazy. So days on market is a really good indicator of both demand and supply. And in this case, the median days on market for June was 10 days. That is an increase in days, so kind of a slowdown in the market pace by 25% from May, which was 8 days, but still historically low. June of 2022, last year, it was 13 days. So very tight market, not a lot of inventory out there, a lot of buyer demand. And just to give you some perspective, it can change on a heartbeat. Depending on interest rates, if we go back to February, the February days on market, the median days on market was 47. And for January, it was 28. So this is a really good indicator of days on market, kind of shows you where the buying season is. Things started to accelerate in March. They're going to stay low probably until middle of July, early August, and then we'll see things start to slow down, and you might see longer days on market. It depends on the amount of demand and the amount of supply, but just seasonally speaking, that's what can be expected. So let's get into condo sales. And this is condos and townhomes. Basically, I'm counting these as attached properties. So attached to another unit, or let's say you've got one other property that you have an adjoining wall that's attached. So these are the sales in the city of Chino Hills for June of 2023. There was only 4 condo sales, which is a very low number. We have had months that have had fewer sales, even as low as 1 condo sale in the month. But relatively speaking, it's pretty low. I mean, you can see May right here was at 12 sales. So June was down 66%. And going back further to June of last year, it is off by 60% from the 10 that were sold last June. So in June, out of those 4 sales, 3 were above ask and are above the list price, and 1 was at the list price. So new condo listings for the month of June. There were only 5 new listings in the month of June, which is very low. Compare that to May. June is down 44% from May, and it is down 58% from June of last year. So fewer new listings this month is probably going to translate into a low number of sales in July. I don't think we're going to get much lower than 4. I think I've seen a few sales that have already happened so far this month, so we'll probably be in that 6 to 7 range of total sales for July, but we'll find out. Again, this is just an indicator that people don't want to give up their super low mortgages that they have unless they really have to. So for condos, median days on market in the month of June, it was 6. A huge drop from May, which was 25, was the median days on market in in May, which is a 76% reduction. And if we look at June of 22, it was 9, so 33% off of the June numbers from last year. Days on market, when it's small, that means there's a lot of demand or lack of inventory or both. So we saw that again this month in June. So those are the numbers for Chino Hills in the month of June, the year 2023. And right now, if you are looking to buy or possibly looking to sell, is it clear cut if it's a good thing for either of those parties? No, you could make an argument for why you shouldn't buy right now, or why you should, or why you shouldn't sell, or why you should sell. If I'm going to look at the bull argument for either, like why should I buy right now? Well, right now you have less competition from people that are out there looking. There's fewer people on the market right now than there was, let's say, last year. Now, it's very dependent on interest rates. If interest rates continue to go up, there's going to be even less competition out there, which will be good for you. You're not going to see as many over-ask multiple offer situations if you're a buyer right now. There's more selection. There's going to be more selection. If there's fewer buyers out there, snatching up inventory, that's going to mean more inventory for you. And historically speaking, this month, the month of July and August, is kind of like the end of that increase that we see in inventory. Just recently, there has been an uptick in inventory, and we'll see if that bears out for the entire month. But right now, there is a larger number of homes on the market than there was, say, 2 months ago. And you could possibly benefit from lower interest rates down the road. So if everybody was waiting for lower interest rates, well, when the rates do come down, you're going to see a flood of new buyers. There is going to be more competition. There's going to be less selection. So if you are in a position where you can afford the payment, it makes sense for you in the long haul, now is not really that bad of a time to buy. It is very unaffordable, relatively speaking, and that is a problem. But if we do, let's say we go into a recession, which I do think we will, I don't think we're going to have a soft landing. You are going to see loosening of funds, and you are going to see interest rates come down. So that might put you in a good position to refinance at a lower rate. Don't count on that though. Anything can happen. It's got to make sense for you. You don't want to put yourself in a bad position. And this even makes even more sense if you have a longer time horizon, like you plan on living in the property for, let's say, 4 or 5 years or beyond. Then, if prices dip a little bit, or if the economics change over time, you're going to be probably in a good spot. And let's think if you are thinking about selling right now. Here are some arguments why now is a good time to sell. Less competition. Like I mentioned, there's a lack of inventory on the market. If the demand stays where it's at and inventory continues to fall, you're going to be in an even better position, because there are always people that need to purchase. There's always people that need to sell, whether it's divorce or death or relocation. There's always a certain number of people that need to make a decision. And with less competition, that's better for you as a seller. There is still relatively high demand. Now, if interest rates, if they fluctuate quite a bit, if interest rates go up, that is going to decrease the demand. That is going to make it more difficult to sell. There was last year, April, May, you had a lot of properties that were priced thinking that appreciation was going to continue. And then when the interest rate shock came out, you had a lot of homes that had to reduce their prices by quite a bit. And it was just kind of a shock that we had to get through, and we got through it. And we're actually historically above those peaks that we were in 2022 now. But so prices are elevated. Now is a good time to cash out on that equity. I went on a listing appointment not too long ago for these folks in the Villa Borba community, and they purchased their house in 2019. They paid $1.125, and it will probably list for about $1.55, $1.56. So in just a few short years, they're going to see a ton of appreciation. So if that is you, or let's say you plan on moving to Texas or somewhere where you're going to take all that equity that you built out and pay cash for your next home, that's a really good case for why you should put your house on the market today. And also, we're nearing the seasonal peak. So the number of transactions, historically speaking, they kind of peak mid-July into August. So there's just going to be fewer buyers on the market as time progresses until that seasonality passes. So if you're thinking of buying or you're thinking of selling in Chino Hills, I know the area extremely well. I've lived here 23 years, and this is where we're based. So this is my backyard. If you need help with anything buying or selling, or even renting, like let's say you don't necessarily want to be a seller, you want to hang on to your property, you've got a really low mortgage rate, but you've got a new kid or you've got family coming in and you need a bigger house. Well, there's ways of getting you into that new property with different type of loan programs where you can keep the house, use it as a rental, use that rental income to go towards the debt servicing of that existing loan and move on to your new one. So there's ways to do everything. That is it. I hope you liked this first video. Do me a favor, if you think there's potential that they're gonna get better, then subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time.